Ladies, gentlemen, everything in between, welcome to the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries, season number 4. 5 rounds, 5 weeks, a short, sharp series will test the drivers from minute 1, and it will be the Donington Park National where we will kick off for 2025. With 2 championships set to be contested and over 30 drivers taking to the Leicestershire circuit, we are in for an absolute thriller. And it will be presented to you by myself, Joseph Black, 2F Media Productions, and their broadcast director, Tom O'Farrell, series organiser Tom O'Farrell, on behalf of Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing. The safety car driver and the race director will be Peter Cornelius, and the clerk of the course will be Craig Chorney. And hopefully we will have a spectacle on our hands. 5 rounds, as I said, starting off at Donington Park, and 5 weeks of racing will take us to Donington Park first, then Castle Combe next week. Alton Park Island will be our 3rd round. Brands Hatch will be a double points round before the final race of the season at Crofton. I say final race, there are 2 races in each race weekend, and it should be very, very good. And of course, that Brands Hatch round double points will throw something into the mix a bit. Here is what all of the drivers will be contesting for. As I say, 2 championships, 2 different classes. First, the scholarship class. That would provide a free entry to the Junior Saloon Car Championship Scholarship held on the 21st of February at Pembroke. In the all-comers class, first place will receive a £100 Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing voucher. 2nd and 3rd will get a PASR and AOC cap and hoodie. But with qualifying already underway, it is time to go down to the circuit and have a look to see what the drivers are contesting so far. And well, it's great to see over 30 sign-ups here for this first round. Just over 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in this qualifying session, and it is going to be Devlin who's currently on that provisional pole position. A very good lap time, a 27.768 set by him so far. And actually Taylor has come in with that 27.768. It's Devlin that's been knocked off his perch, 0.024, splitting the top 2. Incredibly tight, and actually the gap back to the car in behind is 0.19, so that is going to be very tight between those top 2 as they continue around. Of course, racing in the Citroen Saxo, Jaden Slater taking a bit too much curbing through there. He's 3rd place at the moment as he tries to get down from his 27.9 to maybe improve just a little bit and well, try and throw himself into contention at the very top of this field. Tom Justice, purple in the first sector, but has aborted his lap and getting out of the way of the traffic. And just having a look at the few drivers and having a look at the way that they're having to attack this Donington Park circuit. The ways that these cars can race can sometimes be very interesting when you've got cars that aren't necessarily designed specifically for racing, and you've certainly got that at the moment as Charlie Kelso is going to improve on that lap time. But these are they're very shaky in the corners. I find they're very difficult to actually get turned in, so you have to throw, you have to push the car through every single corner that you can, as well, of course, with the times coming down at the end of the session, the actual laps that are being set will come down as well. It's Jordan Taylor currently in the pit lane. She's got to go very quickly. He's basically got to do a qualifying run if he wants another lap to be set in this session. This is Dino Rowlands. He finds himself in the top third of the field, 10th place, as we're going to ride on board with the number 21. He's 8/10 off of that pole position time at the moment, but to be fair, to be within a second of that 27.7 looks to be a pretty good achievement so far, and he might be setting himself up for just one final run. 2 minutes 30 left, so that if he's crossing the line now, he'll have a chance to do another one if he so desires. And with the way that track evolution usually is, it makes sense to maybe try and do just that one more. So maybe this one more lap is just a banker, and then you can see what you can do. Oliver Sweetman, good lap time, pushes himself up to 4th place with a 1 minute 28.002, just outside of the 1 minute 27s, and he's doing well at this point in time, just to contest, because of course those times at the top are very good, and Devlin's just eked out a gap once again. He's climbed up to the top, 27.679. So the first driver into the 27.6 is William Johnson. Is going to pick up a lovely bit of slipstream off of O'Connor in front of him. Is this going to be a good lap from the man currently in 6th place? Is it an improvement? And he's not quite enough to improve. A 28.4 for him. There's a couple of contacts that are registered on the field. Of course, we want to avoid that as much as possible, especially in qualifying, where it's all down to yourself, basically, in terms of actually contesting on this circuit. And well, the 3.67 of William Johnson finds himself in 6th at this point in time. Of course, displaced a couple of minutes ago by Oliver Sweetman. Aidan Ingram further down the field, currently the last qualifier in 29th place, and he will hope to climb up. Of course he will. They would all hope to climb up, and he is improving in that first sector. The number 28 trying to find an opportunity to go to within maybe 5 seconds of that lead lap. It's going to be a pole position for him if he does end up in that final spot. But of course, it wouldn't be a great way to start off your season being last. But race 2 could provide something very different. Ingram then throwing himself into the chicane and onto the exit. We will see where he is going to be able to put that car. Is it an improvement? He's 1.5 off of the back of the next car at the moment, and it is going to remain a similar gap for the time being. It looks like the car in 5th place is going to be out of qualifying. Tom Justice not able to set a lap. Once again, he has had he's potentially run out of fuel, which at this point in the session could be crucial with the way that the track evolution has gone, with the way that the times are coming down, and with the way that Charlie Devlin and Jordan Taylor are pushing the limits. It is pretty much the worst time that you could run out of fuel, if there is ever a good time to run out, as the checkered flag is waved. Bailey, Chetterton, and of course it is going to be as well further down the order, Harrison, King out of this session, but everybody else still with an opportunity, as Paris isn't going to improve. He dives in. Jordan Taylor is going to come up to the line. Is he able to steal pole position off of Devlin's hands? Not quite. A 27.8 is the time that he sets, and now the mantle is set for the rest of the grid. The gauntlet is laid down, and the provisional pole time is a 27.679. Who's going to be able to challenge for that? Well, William Johnson, 6th place at the moment, has improved in that first sector. It's a good opportunity for him, as Devlin will not improve. That's going to be Quecker up to 7th place, just trying to challenge for that top 10, and it's a good lap for the 44. Nobody above Oliver Sweetman is able to set a time so far, so it's the 4th and the 6th driver in the qualifying, but William Johnson wide. He's going to kick up some dust, and he's going to ultimately end his qualifying session on a low. Here's Jake Critchley. He's 12th place. There's cars moving all about the circuit trying to get out of the way. Of course, 29 is a huge number of cars to be on at this circuit, and Jake Critchley Is this an improvement of a lap time? It's a poor final sector in comparison to what he's done before, and it's not going to be an improvement. William Johnson, of course, did not get the opportunity to do his lap. It doesn't look like Oliver Sweetman is going to have an opportunity to improve on his lap as well. So as the checkered flag is waved, this is looking like it's going to be our grid order for race 1 here at Donington Park National. Charlie Devlin taking that pole position ahead of Jordan Taylor, but it's only by 0.089 then, over a tenth back to Jaden Slater in 3rd place, and Oliver Sweetman will find himself lined up in 4th place. Of course, Oliver Sweetman, who we're on board with right now. Tom Justice did not get the opportunity to set a final lap time. We believe he ran out of fuel at a crucial time. He will start in 5th alongside William Johnson on the 3rd row of the grid. Zane Quecker, Ricky Pittman, Jacob Ellis and Dino Rowlands will round out our top 10 for the first race of this season around Donington, and it's always good to kick off the season on a high. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity to speak to our pole man in just a couple of moments' time, but Charlie Devlin there really setting a good lap. That is a 27.6. A lot of drivers were aiming for 27s heading into the day. Only 3 were able to get it, and it will be Charlie on that pole position, and it provides him with a great opportunity heading down to the first corner. Jordan Taylor will be alongside him trying to challenge as well. It'll be a very good race indeed. I think we will get the opportunity to see as of course Donington Park can generally throw up a thriller, and of course with the way that this is the season opener, it will be pretty much flat out from minute 1, and it's a great start from Charlie Devlin, who joins me now. Charlie, how did it feel to get that lap in? It was a very good one. It got you poled by just under a tenth of a second, and it really sets off your season on a high.
Yeah, it was good, decent lap. There was still a little bit of time in it, which I know what corners and where, which is always good for a race scenario, that you can still qualify on pole, have a little bit in the tank over your competitors. So, yeah, enjoyed that.
It was a very good start from yourself, and well, of course, Donington Park can throw things up. You've got Jordan Taylor not too far behind you heading into this race. Is it a case of it's your race to lose, or more like you'll see how it goes?
I think me and Jordan have got good pace. We've raced each other in the past, so I think the main thing is just to work together, really, see if we can gap the rest of the field. Obviously with that pace deficit in quali, should hopefully not be a massive task, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yes, certainly we'll see how it goes, and good luck to you for this race session. We'll get the opportunity as well to speak to the man alongside him on the front row, Jordan Taylor. Jordan, just under a tenth off of that pole position, that promises for the race session.
Yeah, considering I didn't do much practice, I kind of just came into this just for a bit of fun, because I'm only doing this round and then the last 2 rounds. So I'm not taking it too seriously, just for enjoyment factor side of things. I can't complain. Charlie's a very fast driver, so to be within a tenth with not much practice, I'm happy with that.
Certainly is, and so are you with that 27 that you're able to set. Only 3 drivers able to get in there. I'll mirror the question I did to Charlie to you. How is it feeling for this race? What are the expectations, if any?
Well, me and Charlie have raced in a championship before. We've worked together to catch people. We've battled hard, so we're both smart drivers. I think he'll know when to battle, and I'll know when to attack from behind. It's just the waiting game, or go full out attack. It depends on the gap, because obviously we don't want to get caught by others behind. But as I heard Charlie say, we have got a pace advantage. So if we bridge the gap, we'll see what happens. But I might get a bad start, who knows.
Well, you may well do, of course. We'll have to wait and see, but thank you very much for joining us today, and we will see you in the race, and of course, good luck to you.
Cheers.
And that is, of course, our 2 on the front row, Charlie Devlin and Jordan Taylor, who will get the opportunity to speak to maybe later if they're able to hook up that pace into the race session. But they are 2 very good drivers, and it's a great opportunity to see them racing. And we are T-minus 1 minute away from green flag here in season number 4 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship, and you can see all of the drivers getting ready. That is going to be Devlin in the red and white on the left-hand side of your screens, Taylor alongside him in in the blue and black. And well, it's great to see so many cars ready to take to the circuit for a 20-minute dash around Donington Park. 20 minutes is sort of a little bit too long to feel like a sprint, but too short to feel like an endurance. So it's kind of one of those things where you sort of try and manage yourself, and it's a unique type of race. But of course, you see 20 minutes raced in the real-life Junior Saloon Car Championship. So we'll get the opportunity to, they get the opportunity to learn. They get the opportunity to grow. 15 seconds to green flag racing, and it's very, very good to be here. I cannot emphasize enough how excited I am to see those 5 red lights start to go on the drivers already. And, well, the action is underway. The run down to turn 1 begins, and it's a good start from Charlie Devlin. Taylor is going to slot in just behind him as now Jaden Slater tries to take the opportunity into the first corner, looking slightly further back, and that's going to be maybe the inside line. Just a very late move there in the foreground, as that might be Taylor trying to challenge with Devlin. Justice has managed to make his way past Sweetman. He was looking very, very aggressive into the first corner, and this is going to be 10th place. Dominic Jones at the moment, Critchley chasing in behind as they all filter through. It's nice and clean through the first couple of corners here at Donington Park National, and that's a late lunge back, so that's going to be Justice, served on to Justice, maybe Ollie Sweetman pulls alongside, and it may well be 3 wide as Johnson tries to involve himself in that battle. It's going to be the outside lines of the momentum for Justice, but as they head up the hill, Sweetman and Johnson still keep their tyres in, still keep more than a tyre in. 3 won't go into the corner, and Sweetman is going to get spun out. That's unfortunate there. The car on the inside just wouldn't yield. The car on the outside wouldn't either. And so it was down to the man in the middle to get squeezed out, to get dropped down. And that's Oliver Sweetman, unfortunately, dropped to the rear of this field. So it was clean through the first couple of corners, but still scrapping over those positions in these early stints has really cost Ollie Sweetman some time. And it's a little bit of a sheepish moment for them, and they're going to try and put that out of their minds and continue that fighting on. It's benefited the cars in behind, who are going to be climbing up the field, one of which being Dino Rowlands. He started in 10th place, and he's managed to climb up. This is further down the field. Jonty is going to look for an opportunity, but he may well have not got a great run out of the final corner, because here comes Charlie Kelso and Jacob Ellis trying to go through on him. He's looking to the inside of Chatterton, who covers off the 2 of them into the first corner once again as we end our first lap around Donington. And Jonty looks like he may well have this position sealed if he's able to get the power down well enough on the exit slightly off of the circuit. In the background goes, I believe, that to be Jacob Ellis. So an unfortunate one there as he's dropped down a position and still fighting with Charlie Kelso tucking in behind the white car without the livery. Unfortunately here today, but he does tuck in, and that's a late lunge from Kelso on at Paris, and he's able to get it done. Paris off of the circuit trying to take avoiding action, and he may well have just caught himself in contact with Jacob Ellis. Ellis has backed out in the end, so it's not gone too badly. There's not really, there's no time lost at all, apart from when they slightly went off for the circuit. Paris squeezed out, and that might be Jacob Ellis through eventually. After a couple of corners of threatening, he has finally made an impression on the car in front, and Paris is forced to drop down to 19th place. Tom Justice in 9th is looking on the back of Pittman. Can he take the opportunity? And this is maybe an opportunity that he's been building for a couple of laps. Yes, indeed, he has. It's not even been 2 laps. There's rubbing between the 2. And I think a little bit of netcode as well. They're both off of the circuit. And through goes Jones. He moves up a position. And that's a very fortunate moment for him. As, well, we're going to get through the first few moments. And Callum Paris, his day just goes from bad to worse, rubbing just a couple of moments ago. And then Max Moron accidentally driving into the side of him as he tries to recover the car. He's not had the greatest of starts to proceedings, nor has, well, there's been a few drivers who've been dropped further down the field. James Sutton is going to be the car in last place at this point in time. It's Sutton, Paris and Moron who've had problems early on, as has Callum Williams. Everybody else has been able to stick with the pack and staying in strong contention, and well, we will see where they all are able to stack up. That's going to be Charlie Kelso having problems, and that might be Jacob Ellis's opportunity. Indeed it is. Christopher Riley didn't take the chance, and now Jacob Ellis is feeding on the scraps that were fed to him as he's holding that inside line. Can he take the position he can, and he's going to hold on to it as there's an attempt of a wheel tried to hold in even by Charlie Kelso, but he's not had the chance. And Christopher Riley trying to take the opportunity, getting information as well that Adam Koner's PC has died, so unfortunately he will not be racing here in race number 1, and hopefully he'll get the chance to be back in for race 2. Andrew Bailey on the inside line of Dino Rowlands and gets through into the chicane. And well, there's been a couple of Andy MB representatives. That is the man himself, and he's up into 6th, so doing a pretty good job so far, considering this isn't even his main game. He's a Beam NG fanatic, and well, we'll see what he can get the chance to do in a little bit of different machinery. Dino Rowlands dropping another position, unfortunate. He must have got a bad run out of the final corner. That's a slide from Sean Duffy in the foreground of your screens, and hopefully Jacob Ellis able to stay away from him. Indeed he is, and he's got to rejoin the track safely with no contact. He has managed to. This fight will continue on, as that's a little bit of rubbing once again. The contact model on this game is really coming into effect in this fight, and Tom Justice is right in the thick of things. He drops to 8th place as there is a couple of contact warnings on the screen, and that might be Ricky Pittman going through on a move on Dominic Jones. Indeed it is, and he's able to get through nice and cleanly. Jones now under pressure from Charlie Stapleton for the 10th place, and it feels as though when they drop a position, it sort of causes a domino effect. They might drop 2 and 3 very, very quickly, but I mean, it's just about trying to pick yourself up and trying to regain those positions, because you know that you're not the only drivers having that problem, as that side by side for the lead. Charlie Devlin leading Jordan Taylor, and they sort of filtered through towards the chicane. Taylor did take avoiding action in the end, as Devlin did not want to yield, and down towards the first corner they will keep fighting. Ricky Pittman is going to be in 9th place, and the fight for that 8th is very much on. What a run out of the final corner he's had the opportunity to get, as Jordan Taylor has come under some issues, I think, because this has opened the door to Jaden Slater around the outside for 2nd place. Can he take the run, take the momentum? He has had to go onto the grass, but it may well be worth it for Jaden Slater to hold a wheel in and take the inside line. Indeed it is, and well, still a little bit of grass. You can see the tyre marks, and in the end Taylor with that run is going to retake the position. A solid defence, but one that's going to lose him a huge chunk of time to Devlin. 8/10, so he's just outside of slipstream range as Ricky Pittman. He's dropped a couple of positions since we last had a look, and he may well just be dropping another. Indeed he is. 13th is where he's going to drop to. Contact between Charlie Kelso and the car in front of Oliver Sweetman, and that's going to be Sweetman off of the circuit. A little bit of an attempted switchback, I think it was, from Kelso that didn't quite pay off, and the inside line now beckons for Kelso once again, as neither of them has lost much time from that incident. Scotty O'Connor as well seeking an opportunity, but I think at this point in time it makes sense to just sort of sit behind, just wait for maybe incidents to happen, maybe contacts to be made, and then they'll have a poor exit and you can slide your way through, as that is going to be what is going to be attempted by Christopher O'Reilly right here on the inside. This may well be 3 wide heading into the chicane, which doesn't seem to be something that you can do. I mean, it was attempted earlier on in this race, but they backed out very sensibly, as that's Dino Rowlands. Bad to worse for him as well, and it feels as though the recoveries from some of these drivers aren't going as successfully as they would have hoped to do so. The example that I would use would be the example of Oliver Sweetman, who has just sort of been stuck in and around the further down positions, and of course the contact that was made on the last lap has dropped him down to 18th place, and he's defending it at the moment, but contact again, himself and Dino Rowlands, and the 2 cars that are in behind not spotting it. O'Connor and Critchley going into the back, still fighting between Rowlands and Sweetman as they head down the hill towards the next couple of corners, and still are locked in battle. Rowlands on that inside line, Sweetman trying to sweep through on the outside. Rowlands slight cut of the corner to try and remain ahead, and dust thrown up on the exit as he has ruined his own run, but he has done enough to hold on to the position, still seeking an opportunity. Ollie Sweetman does not want to let this one go, and it's the inside line for the next corner, and then the next, and then the next. This one might be his chance to sneak through finally. Indeed it is, off the circuit for Dino Rowlands, just to confirm it, and he now drops down to 20th place. The action on this circuit has been pretty much non-stop the whole time. There has always been fighting, and that is a bad moment for Lucas Chatterton, who well, I think there's just a couple of drivers who are working out where everybody else is, working out the width of their car, because of course the difficulty when you're racing on a sim is you don't own this car, you don't get the opportunity to practice in it all the time. Of course they practice for this race session, but sometimes you want to race a different car, and so the physics and will mess you up slightly. Aidan Ingram taking too much curbing there, and that might ruin the run of the car in behind, which is Max Moron, who's recovering from his race start at the very least, which didn't go ideally. He's a very, very quick driver. He's showing that right now as he climbs right back into the pack. But yeah, it's all about trying to work yourself out in the first few races of the season. Of course, it's only 5 races, so they haven't got much of an opportunity as rubbing. Once again, that's going to be Charlie Stapleton, and that's going to be Jonty Restrick as well, coming to blows as off of the circuit goes Stapleton, and Restrick also involved in an incident as we were receiving information that the car that's just gotten through on them, Jacob Ellis, where he's got a 5-second time penalty to add to his name, and that's going to be track limits, which he's just exceeded once again. So Jacob Ellis at the moment just trying to get to grips with not only the car but the circuits itself, and he'll get the opportunity to try and redeem himself in race number 2. Of course, that will be coming on later in this evening, and the pole man will be the man who started from last place, which I believe was Aidan Ingram. He'll be starting from that pole position. Jacob Ellis will be a pit lane starter as well. We will be seeing what they're going to get the chance to do to try and recover from what will be last place when they come out of the pits in race number 2 as well. Callum Paris. Oh, what's happened to Dominic Jones here as he's gone off of the circuit. I think he's just taken too much curbing out of the chicane and into the grass, into the barrier he's gone, and he's going to hope that that's not going to affect him too badly as Oliver Sweetman finally makes his way through on another car, this one Charlie Kelso, and seeks the opportunity to move further up the field. Christopher Riley is in 13th place and hoping to chase for that top 10 as we've ticked over halfway through this one now. 8 minutes 44 left in this session, and 7 laps have been completed around the Donington Park circuit, and at the moment it's Charlie Devlin and Jordan Taylor, which we expected to be right up the very top of this field. This is further down, this is for 13th place, and this is going to be Duffy through on Riley. And is he going to get the chance to? Yes, he is. He's going to get the chance to get through, and that's going to be going very early into the corner. And so that is going to be Riley. I mean, he braked early to try and get the turn in, didn't quite work. And Mason Turner drops down as well as, I apologise, incorrect information. Jacob Ellis actually started from the back of the field in this one. He started from the pit lane in this race. So a post-race penalty will be added to his time. Jonty Restrick and Charlie Stapleton are side by side for 11th place, and Stapleton through pretty cleanly. These two have they're not going to get bored of each other anytime soon, I don't think, as they've continued to fight. Charlie Devlin has eked out that gap, by the way, at the top to 1.9 seconds, so we will definitely get the chance to speak to him unless there's any mistakes in the final 8 minutes of this race session. Ricky Pittman on the inside line and trying to take the opportunity, also trying to squeeze Barnaby Brewer wide, but it hasn't worked, and Barnaby actually, it's managed to slingshot him onto the exit, and it's a very good move that he's managed to hold on to, if he's able to hold on to it. I say that because Ricky was still on the outside line, but not for very much longer, and Brewer holds off Pittman, who holds off Jacob Ellis, who is charging through the field. He's very, very quick, but of course pit lane start would have hindered him, as well as that 5-second penalty which will be applied. Sweetman is not fighting anymore with Charlie Kelso. Instead it was with Sean Duffy, who's just had quite a nice 360 in fact, but it does see him off of the circuit, so a disappointment there. Barnaby Brewer still in this fight with Ricky Pittman, and he's going to hold the inside line. Can he make his way through? And Jacob Ellis, most importantly, will be hoping that there's no real contact. There is a bit of contact, and actually it's worked in his favour. Ricky Pittman off of the circuit, Jacob Ellis through, and might get the chance to slingshot himself through on Barnaby Brewer as well. He will take the run. He won't need the slipstream. He will just have the pure momentum to take him down to the chicane. It's down to Barnaby Brewer as for what lines they take, but Jacob Ellis is going to cut across into the chicane and seal that position for the time being. A very good move from Jacob Ellis there, as we're getting more information and more track limit penalties, as that's Dino Rowland, who I believe has just decided to call it quits for this race session. And well, the information is that Scotty O'Connor gets a 5-second time penalty for track limits, so the second one handed out in this race. And I don't think it's going to be the last one, if I'm honest with you. Having looked at some of the rubbing that these drivers have done together, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a couple more off the circuit. Charlie Kelso, what a clean move that is, just making it no questions asked on Critchley and through into 13th place. Jake Critchley drops down, and we'll hope that he's not going to fall into the clutches of Christopher Riley, and more to the point, we'll want to get back through on Charlie Kelso for that 13th spot, as that's going to be off of the circuit. It'll break all of their momentums. Who is going to have their momentum broken the least? Well, Jake Critchley is going to pull alongside. He's going to maybe get back ahead, as you've got Riley as well waiting in behind. But through goes Critchley. Kelso still on the outside. They're doing an incredible job to keep racing, and I think this is why this is such a good championship. The Citroen Saxos, of course, maybe they're not the best with them. Maybe they haven't warmed up as much as they could have. If it was, you know, the real life Junior Saloon Car Championship, where they've had an entire season to have a look at the car, to have a tinker with the cars as well. And well, we will see throughout the course of this season them get used to it, them get quicker, and them get, I'd imagine, more clean side by side, because race one is always a very interesting one to watch, where they haven't worked out the drivers they're racing against. Of course, some of them are veterans of the Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing Championships and eSeries, but some are brand new. We've got quite a few new entrants for these races, and so they're just getting to know each other, so they might have a few rubs in the first race, but I think it's going to get cleaner and cleaner as we go along the season. Wiro Voltage Racing, I hope I've pronounced that right, comes into the YouTube chat and asks, is there any way you can differentiate the all-comers and the scholarship class? Well, this was a point I was about to get onto. If you have a look at the numbers and the names on the cars, if they are yellow, they are the scholarship class. If they are white, they are the all-comers class. That is the way you'll be able to tell the difference between the two, and you can see at the moment these two are both going to be they're both going to be the scholarship class, and they are both going to be fighting into the chicane. Who's going to come out on top? Well, it's just a squeeze-handed onto the car of Slater by Quecker, who is in that third place. This fight for third place is going pretty well at the moment, as Jaden Slater, he was in the fight with Devlin and Taylor, but Quecker has just caught up so incredibly quickly, and I think it may well just be him being quick and Slater dropping off as well. As well, of course, it's worth fighting for every single position in this championship, whether it's P3, whether it's P15, because points are scored all the way down. It will be 25 for the victor, and it will just... It's not like the traditional Formula One point system, as they just, it filters down. So it'll be 25 points for the victor, 22 for second place, 20 for third place, and then they will reduce by 1 point for every single place down to 20th, which picks up 3 points. Everybody else will pick up 2 points. So, you know, 1 point can make a huge difference to the end of your championship, and that's exactly what might happen for these drivers. 2 minutes and 40 left on the clock, and we have a few more penalties to tell you about. I told you it wasn't going to be the last one. I didn't expect it to be the same drivers, the same culprits, with O'Connor picking up another 5 second, as did Jacob Ellis. And, well, you've got Slater into that mix as well with a 5 second time penalty all by himself. So that's going to be 5 time penalties added with a total of 25 seconds, 10 of which going to Jacob Ellis and going to Scotty O'Connor respectively. And also on the side of information, Dino Rowland was out of the session, and we mentioned that a couple of minutes ago. Didn't quite work out well. Well, the answer has been given to us courtesy of Peter Cornelius, our race control. Dino Rowland ran out of fuel, so that's very unfortunate from his perspective. And I think it may well have just been a preparation error more than anything else, because the point at which he retired, you could imagine surely that he's practiced this race. He knows roughly how much fuel he's going to need. He's not going to fall about 6 or 7 laps short as he would have when he indeed retired from this session. Sweetman hasn't had the greatest race as well. He's dropped down, and I'd be interested to find out what has happened to him, as well, we're watching on with Andrew Bailey at the moment, chasing in behind Tom Justice, as we've just got over a minute left on the clock, 1 minute and 20 seconds, so just under a lap of racing here to go at Donington Park, and Charlie Devlin at the moment, who is of course our leader and will be taking us to the line, while he is going to find himself in the final sector, and so seeking an opportunity to see what he can do into the final lap, and seeking an opportunity to try and defend from Jordan Taylor, who will be desperate. He's caught right back up to the very top of this field, to the car at the very top, which is Charlie Devlin. Can Jordan Taylor seek an opportunity? He's chasing in as they head down towards the first corner for what will be the final time, even not the penultimate time, because there's 40 seconds left on the clock. 20 minutes of racing is about to come to a close, and the number 23 is defending against the number 19 for this race victory. 3 points will separate the two positions, but it's not all about the points when you're racing. It's all about the glory as well, and that is exactly what we want the opportunity to present to you today. It's the racing, and these two have had very clean racing all session long. Jordan Taylor has been on the back foot. Charlie Devlin has very much been on the front, and he's led from the line and may well have the opportunity to go pole to victory here in race number 1. But Jordan Taylor seeking the inside line, which will become the outside line for the next braking zone. How much space is Devlin going to allow him? Not enough for a car's width. So Charlie Devlin remains in position for the time being. Jordan Taylor's desperately seeking opportunities that are now running out. He's only got 3 more corners to go before they come to the checkered flag, which is now being waved out on the circuit, and it will be taken by our leader, which will be one of these two drivers. The final overtaking opportunity will be into the chicane, and Charlie Devlin at the moment looks like he may well have eked out enough of a gap on Jordan Taylor to get that position done around the final couple of corners. He is going to be in the lead, and Charlie Devlin is going to come across the line and seal race number 1 here in the Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing Junior Saloon Car Championship here around Donington Park. Taylor, a very respectable second place, and it's going to be a very well-earned third from Zane Quecker. He's managed to hold off Jaden Slater for 3rd place, as now this is 6th place around the final corner. Tom Justice licked the stamp and sent it and held on to 6th place, and he will come across the line. I think be very happy with that one and see where the momentum will take him into race number 2. Jacob Ellis from the pit lane. He's got penalties which will drop him down, but 8th place is where he finishes on track. It's going to be Brewer who comes home in 9th, and Charlie Stapleton to round out the top 10. Ricky Pittman in 11th place, and well, it'll be Jonty Restrick in 12th. Jake Critchley will come up to the line in 13th, and it will be Christopher Riley in 14th. Charlie Kelso, Scotty O'Connor, as that is going to be actually Riley and Kelso alongside each other towards the line, but it's Scotty O'Connor, Sean Duffy, Callum Paris, Callum Williams, and then it'll be Lucas Challerton to round out our top 20. But talking about the drivers at the very top of the field, as we did just a moment ago, a very well managed race from the both of you. And I'll speak to Charlie first, of course, because well, a race victory in the first race of the season, that must feel good.
Yeah, it was a bit of a boring race in a way. Obviously at the start I kind of got away after making a mistake or two, and then towards the end, going into the final chicane, I locked a left front, just going slightly onto the grass.
Yeah, it was. There was a couple of moments in that race. There's, I believe, you may well have had a slight disconnect. So if you want to continue with your point, or were you done?
I apologise. Yeah, just at the start of the race, obviously slightly got away. And then made a mistake towards the end, just going into the final chicane, just dips the left front wheel and just completely locks the whole left side of my car going into the final chicane, so I lost quite a lot of time to Jordan. Then kind of towards the end I thought, oh, here we go, he's gonna come past here, but just managed to hold on towards the end.
Yeah, it was very good. It was a very good defensive ploy from you towards the end of that race, and well, heading into that final lap, of course, Jordan been able to catch back up. Did you think that? Did you just go into the last lap with just, I'm going to defend for my life, or just, we'll see what happens? I'll go as quickly as I can and force him to have to be quicker than me, in a sense.
I kind of knew going into the final lap that he wasn't going to do anything too sendy in a way. Obviously, as it's the start of the season and we're fighting for different classes, so I knew he wasn't going to do anything too outrageous, but I knew he would kind of put his nose in just to make me aware he was there. But yeah, it was kind of chill in a way. I knew kind of had to defend, and he made his best attempt to overtake it. Obviously, it didn't work.
He certainly did. He had an attempt at taking that position, which of course did not pay off. But Jordan, I mean, it was so close yet so far from you. But I mean, the pace must promise.
Yeah, I mean, it was not my best performance. I think my first attempt to overtake would have been a bit better, personal opinion, but I'm not going to say too much on that. But yeah, I mean, I tried capitalising there at the end, but just couldn't get the run on him down to the chicane, so there was no chance of me overtaking. The main spots either at the start of the lap or the end of the lap, and I caught him up in the middle. So and then he managed to get a better exit onto the last little straight, and that's all my attempts gone. So I attempted a bit of a lunge, but it was never going to work. But if you don't try, you don't know.
And are you thinking that with that extra pace that you mentioned, do you think that there's still a bit in the tank to come in race 2?
Yeah, not trying to be cocky or anything, but I do better in reverse grid races. I tend to be a bit more alert. This is where my words are going to not be true and I get taken out, but we'll see. But I do tend to do better in these sorts of races, just because I prefer this type of environment, coming from the back and fighting through.
Yeah, fair enough. It does help you keep the momentum up. Well, I'll allow you to go and prepare for your race, which is just above a minute away. But yeah, good luck.
Cheers.
Of course, reverse grid races will be contested here today, and it'll be race number 2, which we will get the opportunity to see in just a moment's time. But well, for now, a word from our sponsors at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing. Sponsors. Thank you. Sponsors is the wrong. There we go then, ladies and gentlemen, as we get straight to the 5 red lights, or the 6 red lights. The drivers are ready and the action is underway. We go straight into our reverse grid race, race number 2 here today, and it's a good start from our pole sitter, which is going to be Harrison King, who's going to take the run down to the first corner and swipe to the inside line from one of the cars in the foreground, which is going to cause a little bit of a momentum loss for Sutton, who's going to drop down the order, but it is going to be Harrison King that leads the way here today, and well, it's going to be Aidan Ingram following him through in second place. Of course, a little bit more carnage, as you would expect in the first early skirmishes of this one, as Tom Justice drops to the back of the field, as there's only a couple of drivers who've had that problem. I think it was Tom Justice and Jaden Slater who find themselves right at the very bottom. A couple of jump starts from this field, and we'll see who is going to be facing penalties for just that in just a couple of moments' time. But Ingram has now taken the lead off of Harrison King, as who's that going so far off of the circuit? That looks like it's going to be Sutton again, whose first lap has gone horribly, I think it's fair to say, and James Sutton hoping to pick himself up. We saw Rowlands, Dino Rowlands that is, and Oliver Sweetman with jump starts to their races, and maybe there might be more to come, or we may well be being harsh on them. We'll see what happens when the race control brings across that information to us, but at the moment it's looking very, very interesting for what is going to happen. Of course, drive-through penalties for jump starts, so we might be seeing fights further down the field that will almost be about 20-30 seconds off. That's going to be a squeeze off of the circuit, and that's going to be driver through. That is it's been absolutely carnage on lap number 1 here in the reverse grid race. And you can see a car sideways, actually, in the background. That is going to be Jones, who drops down. Dominic Jones, unfortunately, dropping down to the back of the order and was sideways. But that's going to be almost about 5 cars wide into the first corner. So absolute carnage, as I mentioned. And in all of this, Jordan Taylor, I mean, he mentioned pre-race how much he loves a reverse grid race. He's already gained so many positions and he's looking to gain more. He's in the top 10 as it stands, and Quecker is just ahead of him. Pittman is also just ahead of those two in a 3-car fight for this 8th place, and Jordan Taylor just trying to wait for I think Zane Quecker to make a move. But if he can get a run just like the one he's got here, he can maybe set up a sumptuous move on the inside on one, which is the outside on another, and he may well take the chance. But looks like he might be boxed in by Ricky Pittman here, who covers across for Zane Quecker. So it might be an opportunity after all for Jordan Taylor to sweep around the outside with the momentum, but a bit of a slide from Pittman has cost Jordan Taylor, and he's going to have to make that move all over again. Paris might make it slightly worse for him, as they're going to both have a half spin, both able to save it and open up the door for Bailey to try and come through on both of them. He gets through on one, not the other. Jordan Taylor able to hold on to P10, as that is going to be Callum Paris off of the circuit. Scotty O'Connor involved in the incident as well. They both drop further down the field. They're both sideways and they're both potentially with damage. Jordan Taylor down to 11th place. He's dropped in the meantime down past Bailey. So as soon as we started watching him, his race started to go a little bit more negatively, but he's alongside Bailey for the time being. Andrew Bailey, of course, that is peeling into the pit lane. Is going to come Oliver Sweetman to serve what I think that is going to be that drive-through penalty. Indeed it is, as Jordan Taylor under pressure for this 10th place. Charlie Devlin and Andrew Bailey right on the back of him now, trying to seek an opportunity. Can they find one? Not quite yet. Taylor just has that pace over the rest of this part of the field, as well, in the meantime, this is the fight for the actual lead of this race. Screw those who are trying to fight through to fight for this. These are the drivers that have earned their position at the time being. Of course, with the reverse grid race, it's all about trying to remain in the fight, and it's a late lunge from Charlie Kelso on the inside of Aidan Ingram. There's been a lot of rubbing and racing and contact coming up in our race director, and Charlie Kelso is going to rub his way through to the race victory, still bumping between himself and Aidan Ingram, but he is able to take the opportunity in the end and take the lead, and that's going to ruin the momentum of Ingram, which opens the door for Christopher Riley to pull alongside Harrison King. Of course, our pole man Willis Harrison King keeps his nose in this fight and hopes that one of these two is going to have a loss of momentum heading into the chicane. But no, they both go pretty cleanly, although that is going to be a poor entry into the corner from Christopher Riley. So after all of that, after saying that it was nice and clean, in the end that is going to cost them both a lot of time and open up the door for Charlie Kelso to build up that gap, as side by side to the first corner for second and for fourth. It's Noah's Ark here in Donington Park, and Charlie Devlin is going to be dropping to, well, Charlie Devlin not quite able to climb up just yet, but he is going to get the fastest lap. He is going to climb up to the top 10. This is going to be John T. Rostrick on board with his Jaden Slater snatches the fastest lap right off him. The times have very much come down. 26s is what they're setting now, as there's going to be some, there's a ping warning going out to Aidan Ingram, who is in that fight for the lead, and actually hopefully he's going to be able to avoid any more internet problems for him. But yeah, Charlie Kelso will be happy that he's made his way through, and Christopher Riley into that second place, as that's going to be a lunge from Johnsy into trying to get that fourth place and trying to make his way up to that podium. There is contact between the two, and Restrick ends up backing out. 5-second time penalty for Charlie Devlin, who is trying to fight his way through the field and seek his opportunity to really throw his hat into the ring of the championship already in round number 1. But 5 seconds is going to ruin that slightly if he's not able to build up that momentum in the next 14 minutes that we have. Jonty is going to go for another move onto Harrison King. Is it going to be a cleaner one? Harrison King just allows him the chance to make his way through, and yeah, Jonty makes his way through and up past Willis Harrison King and into 6th place, as we are going to head on to the 4th lap of this race. 13 minutes left in the session, so it's flown by, and fastest laps flying in as well. 26s being set, which are incredible laps, considering the pole time was only a 27. So yeah, they're just fighting their way through at a rate of knots. Jordan Taylor in that 8th place. Charlie Devlin will be matching up with the man that he fought in race 1 in 9th place. He's going to be catching up to him in just a couple of moments' time as they're caught behind Ricky Pittman and Willis, even Harrison and King for P7 and P6 respectively. But Jordan Taylor, I mean, he saw that his mate had a 5-second penalty. He decided to join him. More track limits being exceeded from these two as they're fighting through the field has very much just forced them to maybe take lines that they wouldn't normally take, as the defence has been pretty strong from a lot of these drivers. Harrison King, wide exit, and he's dropped down a couple of positions. Ricky Pittman makes his way through, but he does have both of the leaders from race number 1 on his rear, so he will be panicking. He will be desperate to hold on to this position as much as he can, but there's only so much you can do against somebody like Jordan Taylor, who tried to sweep around the outside, now switches to the inside line for the chicane. And can he make his way through? He doesn't have the slipstream effect that Charlie Devlin has, but what he does have is the momentum that he got out of the final corner that they went through, and that's going to be contact. Ricky Pittman, a little bit of net code there. He's going to be squeezed off, so unfortunate there to be seeing contacts in the first place, but that's going to be Ricky Pittman dropping down to 8th place. Charlie Devlin taking the opportunity to move just up. James Sutton has a ping warning as well, as there's a couple of drivers suffering with internet in race number 2, which is a shame, but of course that's the way that the cookie crumbles. Zane Quecker is going to get through on Aiden Ingram, and he'll be happy to make his way through on the man with a ping warning, because of course it does get very nervy when you're racing somebody where you don't quite know what they're going to be doing. You can't quite predict their movements, and he's moved up into 3rd place and hoping that Aiden isn't going to try and fight him too hard, because one moment he could be right down your inside, the next moment he could be right behind you, and then you've defended a move that was never actually on, and then your exit has been ruined and they've taken the opportunity to get through anyway. So there's so many things that can happen when you're racing somebody with poor internet, and it's difficult to manage, which is one of the unique problems that you'll be facing in sim racing. Of course, there's a number of them, one of which being in fact that when you are racing side by side, when you are racing somebody else, it can get very difficult at times to predict what they're going to do, because of course damage doesn't matter all too much. Of course it'll affect your race, but you know, you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to rebuild the car in time for race 2. The car will be rebuilt. Speaking of contact, Charlie Devlin is going to run into the back of Jordan Taylor. He tried to seek an opportunity around the outside line. He tried to build himself a gap, and he couldn't quite, could Charlie, see Jordan on the back of him. Jordan's actually able to get back onto the circuit okay, and Charlie's going to hand him the position, but a little bit of lack of awareness, I think, maybe a little bit of netcode creeping in as well, and that is contact between the two potentially fastest drivers in this field, and that's going to ruin their momentum heading into the second half of this race, where we see the top 3 scrapping it out and hoping to hold on to position, as you get the likes of Taylor and the likes of Devlin fighting their way through the field. Zane Quecker, though, he fought his way through the field in race 1, and race 2 is doing exactly the same. He has taken the lead of this race, and contact between himself and Kelso has seen Christopher Riley fight his way through as well. So 2 default liveries and 1 very much not default livery heading through and continuing to fight as we head into single figures with laps remaining now, and Christopher Riley seeking an opportunity on Zane Quecker, but he's been so incredibly quick. So far, he is my driver of this race weekend, or this race evening, is Zane Quecker, because he fought through in race 1 to take that 3rd place, and it was all through pretty clean moves. He's done exactly the same thing once again to climb up to that 1st place, and the number 44 has really taken to my heart in race number 1 and 2, in round number 1 here today at Donington Park, and well, he's just done so incredibly well to fight for it. But of course, he's got 2 drivers who are particularly quick. They had dramatic race number 1s, did Riley and Kelso, especially Kelso, who had a lot of drama pretty much occur to him in that first session. And now these two are chasing in behind, and they are on the back foot, and Quecker very much trying to stand on the front foot and trying to stand on the pedal as much as he possibly can at all times. Aiden Ingram is able to remain in the fight, as well as Jonty Restrick. Ricky Pittman also within the slipstream range, as Charlie Devlin and Jordan Taylor haven't been able to climb up from 7th and 8th for a while, and in fact Jordan Taylor has picked up a 5-second time penalty for track limits, as has Ricky Pittman, as has been a number thrown in over the last couple of laps, and that number would be 4, with Tom Justice and Charlie Stapleton both picking them up as well. They're, of course, slightly further down the order, but, of course, you don't want any sort of penalties heading your way. Charlie Stapleton fighting for that 17th place, Tom Justice for 14th, and Jordan Taylor and Charlie Devlin still scrapping over that 7th place. We'll see as the inside line beckons for Ricky Pittman. We'll see him make his way through, and it's kind of a case of you don't really care about your 5-second penalty. I think that's the right approach to take to it, because if you start to manage your race, you start to try and build 5-second gaps, you start to overthink it a little bit, it can become very tricky. But if you just keep fighting, then you never know, things could shake out in your favour. As in the foreground, Charlie Kelso, well, he's made a mistake, and that's unfortunate. Rejoin the track safely, please, as that was Bailey going through, as is Critchley, and he has rejoined the track safely. Off the circuit as well in the foreground, that's going to be another driver with problems, Aidan Ingram with problems, and well, just still having issues here in this race for a number of these drivers, and it's a shame to see. But I mean, mistakes get drawn out at this sort of level, and especially when you're fighting for that podium position, as he was. Tom Justice on the inside line of Max Moron, a bit of bumping as Moron off of the circuit, trying to climb his way back onto it, and Tom Justice remaining on the inside. Of course, they're both in the same class, as you can see, stickered by their yellow names, their yellow numbers on their cars, which of course is the greatest indicator of all, and you're going to fight people in your same class so much harder. Want to get involved in these classes, want to get involved in these races, you can. There's still spots open if you go to www.perfectacceleration.co.uk/JSCC. We can see you on the grid for all of these rounds. Charlie Devlin on the inside of Jordan Taylor. This is going to get very close. How have they not had an incident there? That is so close between the two, and Devlin has made his way through. It might be the chance for Ricky Pittman as well. These three have just they've been locked in arms for about 10 minutes now, and it doesn't look to be stopping anytime soon. 3 wide, Ricky Pittman and Taylor come together. Devlin is going to fight his way through, and it's actually going to ruin Pittman's momentum, which sees Jordan Taylor sneak through. But as I say, they continue down the main straight. As I say, perfectacceleration.co.uk/JSCC to get yourself involved, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in a fight like the one we've got at the moment. Jordan Taylor and Charlie Devlin, they're going to get bored of each other, I think, by the end of this championship, especially by the end of this evening. Of course, good friends off of the circuit, but on the circuit it's not looking like that at all. They are fighting each other so incredibly hard. Different classes as well, which is interesting to see, but every single position matters. Every single position is going to provide points, and yeah, we see that and continue to fight, as of course with those 5-second, 10-second penalty in the case of Taylor, it's less about the points now and more about the glory, as there's a couple of drivers off of the circuit in the background. I think that was Williams struggling in this one, and that's going to be a 5-second time penalty heading the way of O'Connor, as that's going to be Willis Harrison King, who of course started us off for this race, who drops down. Mistakes were made. I think he crumbled under the pressure just a little bit, which is unfortunate for him, but it's just, you know, it's all a learning experience. It's very, very much a learning experience, especially in round number 1. If you're not expecting to be right at the very top, it's all about just trying to, you know, learn what you can do. Barnaby and Max doing amazing comes in Phoenix Sim Sports, and indeed they are. They're doing very well in this race, and well, I think that all of these drivers are doing well to remain within sort of range. It has built up a little bit, the gaps, in comparison to race number 1 here today, but that's to be expected, because the faster drivers are going to pick up the momentum that they can have, and they're going to try and fight their way through. If they are further off, then they're not going to have the same chances. Like further off up the field, we saw in race 1, as that's going to be Mason Turner turning all the way around in the chicane and rejoining the circuit, hopefully safely. Yeah, indeed he is. Nobody coming the other way, but it's very interesting to see where, you know, you've got a couple of drivers that start up the top, stay at the top. They don't really feel the pressure of having to fight through. When they're further down, and we saw these ridiculous lap times coming in, they really, really lock in and really show their true potential, and that is exactly what we've seen in race number 2 here today, which promises for the rest of this season, as there has been non-stop action at the first 10 minutes and the first 15 minutes of pretty much both races, as this is going to be Barnaby Brewer. We've not seen him much in race number 2 here today, but we are going to be seeing him potentially in this fight. Jacob Ellis is on that inside line and trying to fight his way through. Aidan Ingram trying to take the outside. Brewer defends the inside, which is going to allow the chance for Jacob Ellis to fly around the outside. And if he can avoid that gravel and the grass, he will definitely confirm the position. Indeed he does, and that may well be my move of this race weekend. Jacob Ellis just seeking and seizing the opportunity, but it hasn't actually worked out for him. It's like a through goes Hamilton moment, a great overtake, but one that's in a couple of corners falters and he drops back down. Barnaby Brewer taking his way back through. Aidan Ingram picking up the slipstream and hoping to see his way through as well, and indeed he does. 16th place back for him, but he's off of the circuit. They're both off of the circuit. Jacob Ellis, some sort of black magic there, I think, seeing Barnaby and seeing Aidan going off and seeing himself back through. So Jacob Ellis gets through. 15th for him in what was a very entertaining moment, I think it's fair to say, because they both made a mistake at the same time. I don't think there was any contact between the two. I think that was just purely moments of madness for both of those drivers. And, well, we will be seeing them hopefully try to recover. More 5-second penalties to speak about, and it's Jonty Restrick with 5 seconds of his own. Another 5 seconds headed Tom Justice's way, as well as Sean Duffy. They've all picked up 5 seconds, and it's just, there's a lot more penalties in this second race, as the fighting has been huge, because of course they've been scrapping away the drivers trying to come through the field, and maybe some drivers have been forced off the circuit, picked up those warnings, and eventually led to those 5-second time penalties. As well, speaking of drivers with 5-second time penalties, Jordan Taylor has 10 worth of them, and he has managed to slash that gap down at the top of this field. It was about 4 seconds a couple of laps ago. It is now 2 seconds. So despite that penalty, Jordan Taylor is absolutely flying. And what he is doing is he's taking Charlie Devlin with him again. Charlie, who will be 5 seconds ahead of him by the end of this race, but they will still fight. They're both being squeezed to the inside line. It's going to be Charlie Devlin, who's not going to yield. Neither of them are going to yield. And this might see them off of the circuit. No, there's still bumping between the two, but they both managed to turn into the corner in just enough time, just in the nick of time, enough communication between the two that Devlin has managed to make his way through, and they both somehow escaped from that without any major dramas. But speaking of dramas, with just under a lap to go in this race, or just over a lap to go even, Zane Quecker, 5-second time penalty for track limits, heading the way of the Iraqi driver, who of course leads this race, which means that if all goes well on this final lap, the victory will be handed to Christopher O'Reilly. Christopher Riley even, which, what a story that would be for the Andy MB supporter and the Andy MB team to take the victory. But of course he wants to avoid a 5-second all by himself, and actually everybody in the top 5 apart from Chris Riley has a 5-second penalty, and the highest driver without a penalty apart from Riley is going to be not Ricky Pittman, he's got one, Andrew Bailey, who sits in 6th place. Jake Critchley is going to be alongside Jonty Restrick, and with that pure momentum he drags through. And I've said that so many times throughout this broadcast, I will continue to say it. Critchley and Justin through on Restrick, and up to 8th and 9th respectively. But we are on to the final lap now, and while Zane Quecker does lead this race, while Zane Quecker has been incredibly quick, he is going to have to lock in for this final lap of this race, because he has a gap of 4.2 seconds. He needs a gap of 5 to beat Christopher Riley, and we will see what he's able to do. Another 5-second penalty for Jordan Taylor, and Zane Quecker has just a couple of sectors to go, only a few corners to go where he can eke out that gap. And well, Zane Quecker is going to have to lock in now, more than any other time in this race, in order to take the victory, more than any other time in this weekend, in order to pick up as many points as he can. And you can see how far he's pushing, you can see how hard he's pushing. He's so far off the circuit. It's 4.5 seconds with 3 corners to go for Quecker. How much of a gap is he going to be able to eke out to Christopher Riley to break hearts in the Andy MB Motorsports camp? It's just 2 corners to go now, and keep an eye on that timing board on the left side of your screen. 4.65 down to 4.63. Zane Quecker needs to fly through the final corner to pick up the victory for the Orex competition team. It's the final corner that he's just gone through now, and in fact he's lost that bit of time. It's not going to be enough. A few more corners would have done it, but Zane Quecker wins on track, and it's just about going to be Christopher Riley, who takes the victory by just over a tenth of a second in the end. So close for Zane Quecker, but so far as well. It's going to be Devlin, Charlie Devlin in third place, Jordan Taylor in fourth, Ricky Pittman in fifth, and then Bailey in sixth. Johnson, Justice, Critchley and Restrick will round out the top 10. Max Moron doing better in this race than he did in the last to take 11th. Charlie Stapleton in 12th place, Charlie Kelso in 13th, then Chatterton, Ellis, Rowlands, Duffy, and then it'll be Williams, Ingram and Jones to round out the top 20. And well, what a race that was in the end. It got very close between the top two drivers. Quecker, of course, with that 5-second penalty, and he wasn't able to get that gap up enough. One more corner. I really do think one more corner, and Zane Quecker had that race victory, but unfortunately, he did not do so. Charlie Devlin, in the end, he was not able to take P2, but he also got very close to it. Both of them just about squeezed out in the way of Riley. So I think three drivers separated by less than a second, and we'll get the opportunity to speak to the race victor that could have been Zane Quecker. How devastating was that penalty to pick up?
I mean, I don't think I didn't even cut, to be honest, but it just is what it is, really. So next round, Castlecombe, I'll just have to practice there and see what results are like there.
Certainly will. Pace, though, very good at the start of this season. You've surely got to be happy with first on track at least, second off track, and third.
I mean, yeah, at the start I missed the lights. I didn't even know when to go, and then I had to stay out of trouble for the first few laps, and then from there head down, focus, and then I managed to win it. But that 5-second penalty. Oh.
And I think you mentioned about Castlecombe a minute ago. How are you feeling about that one?
It looks like a technical track, so I'm just going to have to put a lot of practice in it, a lot of laps, so we'll just see how it goes.
Of course we will. Thank you very much for coming to speak to us today, and well, we will see you next time out.
Yep.
And of course, then we get the opportunity to speak to the actual driver who ended up taking the victory, not on track, but he won't care about it, Christopher Riley. I mean, talk me through the emotions of that one.
Absolutely overwhelming. I mean, pushing the pace and trying to swerve past other cars it makes you nervous, you know, and a lot of emotions, a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So many emotions, I can imagine. And that last lap, it got very tense. Of course, Zane Quecker with that 5-second time penalty got to 4.88 in the end. How nervy were those final few corners?
Oh God, it was. I didn't actually think that I'd catch up or gain any more time than I usually thought I would. But look, I got there in the end, and it was absolutely amazing.
Of course, it's a great start to the season, and well, looking forward to next week. I mean, are you looking for a repeat result?
Absolutely. I mean, if the performance was great in this one, hope to see it again in the rest.
Certainly will do. It's a good trend setter for the rest of the season. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you very much.
All good. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. Not just to Christopher, not just to everybody that we've had in the interview box, but everybody at home as well for coming along to watch. And just to remind you, all of the penalties that were added were provisional. They were all provisional, and they can also be contested, as Zane Quecker in the end actually did have 10 seconds worth of penalties, not 5. But they can feel free to contest their penalties, and so all results are provisional. You'll have to keep an eye out on all of the Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing socials and join the Discord and all these sorts of things to find out what happens. And also, most importantly, tune in next week for round number 2. Castlecombe will be waiting for us, and I'm sure it already is, as the Citroen Saxos are going to be gearing up. And well, we'll have a look at the championship standings. Of course, Charlie Devlin up at the top of this field, 49 points ahead of Zane Quecker on 42. William Johnson third place alongside Jordan Taylor. They're both locked in arms, and Christopher Riley and Andrew Bailey both locked on 34. 33 for Ricky Pittman and 28 for Tom Justice. 26 for Jake Critchley, and then Jonty Restrick rounds out the top 10 on 25. And then Stapleton, Slater, Kelso, Ellis, Brewer, Moron, Chatterton, Williams, Duffy, O'Connor, Rowland, Harris, Ingram, and Dominic Jones rounding out the top 24, with Sweetman, Sutton, and Willis, Harrison, King, as well as Mason Turner rounding out the drivers who scored points today, with Adam Kono unfortunately not able to join us because of a PC crash at a very unfortunate time for him indeed. As I mentioned, the next round next week, Castlecombe, is where we shall be heading, and both the classes, the all-comers and the scholarship class, will do their best to pick up a similar race result as some of these drivers had today. And well, it's looking very good for a good championship indeed. Of course, as I've said so many times, 5 races of action. And, well, thank you very much from our team here, from Joseph Black, from Tom O'Farrell, from Peter Cornelius, from Craig Cherney. It's thank you very much, and it's see you next time.